Hi guys, today we're going to talk about some of the expectations for your upcoming Math 3 class, and I know that you had to do this several times possibly already today, so I'm going to try to give them to you in a little bit different manner and kind of introduce some of the activities we'll be doing this year as a class. One of the cool things is you'll get to make one of these videos yourselves in just a few minutes and see how easy it is, and we'll use it in the coming weeks in our math classes to help us learn new concepts and ideas. So, to get started, let me introduce myself. I am Miss Wilson. Obviously, I don't look like that, but that's a good representation. I am a graduate of North Carolina State University, where I graduated in 2007 with a bachelor's degree in secondary math education and also a minor in mathematics. Currently, however, I am also a student at NC State, so just like you, I am taking classes of my own, and I'm in what's called the Northeast Leadership Academy by NC State University. And the idea is by 2018, I will have a degree to become an administrator. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So I do understand the pain of being a student and trying to juggle all the responsibilities. I have two cats that you might hear me talk about throughout the semester. One of them is named Bella. She's a brown tabby cat. She's a little bit on the fat side. And then I have Earl Grey. He's obviously a gray kitty, and he is polydactyl, which means that he has multiple toes. So that's just a little bit about me. Now you might be wondering, what exactly are you going to learn about in the class? Okay. Well, great question. Some of the things that we're going to learn about in this class are statistics, quadratics, complex numbers, polynomials, rationals, exponentials, sequences, and trigonometry. Now you'll learn more than just these topics, but these are kind of the broad overarching topics that we'll cover throughout this class, and hopefully by the end you'll have a better understanding of all of them. So let's talk a little bit about expectations and what kind of things you can do to get a good grade. First off, remember that attendance matters. Not only does the school board say that you have to come, but it's imperative that you come to this class, because whenever you're out of class, you miss a lot of really good information. And you've obviously taken math classes before. The more you're out, the harder it is to catch up. So do remember you're only allowed a max of 10 days unexcused absences, and try to keep those limited to as few as possible to help you ensure success. Tardy policy. So tardy policy is going to be the same one that's for the school. I do ask that you are in the room. I prefer that you are in your seat when the bell rings, unless you are up getting a calculator or sharpening a pencil. Please don't be that person that's scrambling down the hall yelling, I'm here, or walking late saying, but I was in the bathroom. Neither of those are going to be excuses. You have 5 minutes in between your class, and you're going to need to handle those outside on your own time. Next, let's talk about the grading scale. So grading scale is pretty much set. But just as a quick review, if you're thinking, okay, I need to think about what I need to do for a certain grade. Remember, where I'd like all of us to target is for an A, and an A is a 90 to 100. A B is an 80 to an 89. A C is going to be a 70 to a 79. A D is a 60 to 69, and hardly ever do we want to see less than a 60, because that's going to result in an F. So you want to make sure that you're putting forth your absolute best foot, take a look at where you want to be for your target range, and plan to study accordingly. So studying is going to be a key feature in order to get your grade as high as possible. So what exactly are we going to do to determine your grade? Well, how is my grade determined? Well, 20% of your grade is going to come from graded homework and classwork. That's right. I actually grade your homework and your classwork. What am I looking for? I'm looking for accuracy. So I'm not just looking for an attempt. I'm looking that you actually are doing your homework and you're doing your homework correctly. So 20% of your grade is coming from accuracy-based assignments. 30% of your grade is going to come from your quizzes. And we'll take a look in just a second at what some of those quizzes look like. But you want to make sure that you're up to date on your material and that you're studying, keeping up with what you're supposed to, and asking questions or coming to extra help if you're not clear on the expectations. The last 50% is your tests, so over half your grade, or well, exactly half of your grade is determined by testing. So again, you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward where testing is concerned, and that you're studying, preparing appropriately, and taking measures when you know that you're not doing those things. Coming and asking for help or for assistance, I'm definitely here to answer any of those questions that you might have. So we mentioned that 30% of your grade was on quizzes. This is a sample quiz. You'll notice that I have bleeped out or deleted some of the numbers in case I actually come back and use this quiz. It may be a little hard to read if you're sitting in the classroom right now, but you can take a look online and I'll post a sample of this. A couple things to point out is that number one, quizzes are short answer. There's not multiple choice. There's no room for just taking a guess at it. You actually have to perform on your quizzes in here. If you can notice, the first words of each of these are from Bloom's taxonomy. That's where we're trying to get the real high-level questioning going in. And I'm looking to see that you really and truthfully understand the material. So we use words like formulate, provide, prepare, discuss, develop, determine. So we're really looking for a rich vocabulary here and a deep understanding of what's going on. Again, don't let the quizzes sneak up on you. 50% of your grade is coming from the tests, and obviously it's going to be very hard to read these right now, but again, I'll put a link up so that you can take a closer look at the style of questions. Again, I blacked out identifying criteria in each of these questions just so that I might be able to use them again. So this is page 1 of a 2-page test. If you'll notice, the questions on the front part of the test are multiple choice. But take a look, there's only 10 of them. So that means 10 of your total test points are coming from multiple choice. Some tests have a few more than 10, but 10 is normally a pretty good target area for your multiple choice test questions. Now, page 2 is where things get interesting. Page 2 is very similar to your quizzes that you will take in the class. Okay? These are short answer. It is statistically impossible, in other words, it can't be done for you to pass any test in this class without answering short answer questions. The short answer questions are worth a percentage of the grade. There's normally, I'll pull this up just a little bit, there's normally a point value assigned. This particular question we're looking at right now has a 3-point value. Another question above has a 5-point value. So these are definitely adding up. There's a note at the bottom that says, think about it. If there are 10 multiple choice questions on this test, remember that's what we saw on page 2, and you answered all 10 correctly, you've earned 10 out of 28 points. But that's only a 37% on the test. You need at least 7 points from the short answer portion to earn a 60 on the test. So in the past, I've had students who maybe do, we'll call it unethical things and think that, oh, if I just get the multiple choice answers from a buddy, I'll be good and I'll pass the test. I don't have to study. Well, I just showed you that that's definitely not the case. Please don't fall into that trap. In order to pass tests in the class, you're actually going to have to be able to demonstrate your ability to solve these types of problems. And that's just so I can understand that you're clear on what you're supposed to do and I know where your thinking is. Also, it can help me identify misconceptions. If you're having trouble and you need to come in, we can take a look and see where you're going wrong while you're working on the problems. Another component of the class is notebook checks. I'm going to assign that you have a notebook and you're going to be responsible for keeping up with this notebook throughout the duration of the semester. Notice I said semester. Yes, you're going to need to keep all of your papers from the first day today all the way up until the final. Okay? So I'm going to run through with you what a notebook is going to look like and I'm giving you a second to kind of look over this. Now you're going to get a hard copy of everything I've told you today in your syllabus in just a few minutes, so you'll be able to go back over it. Notice it says a 3-ring binder for only this class. That is a firm requirement. I don't want you putting a notebook that you're sharing with science or a notebook that you're sharing with social studies. The main reason for that is I do take up notebook checks on test days. I'm going to collect every notebook from the class, and I'm going to go through them looking for the items that you're supposed to have. You'll receive a checklist ahead of time and make sure that you have everything that you're supposed to, and you're actually going to get a quiz grade. Yes, a quiz grade for each notebook check. So if you're a person that has great organization and you're able to follow directions, you're going to get a great quiz grade. We have approximately 8 tests in the class, not including the final, so that's a potential for 8 100s. More about the checklist to come after this video. So let's take a look at how you're going to set up your notebook, because that is going to be an important component. So notice, let's put this back for a second. Notice it says that you need 5 dividers clearly labeled. Now, it doesn't matter to me if you use store-bought dividers or you make your own out of construction paper. That's perfectly okay. What's important is that you label them with the labels that are given below, and that they're in the exact order that I define. Again, going back, the whole purpose of a notebook check is to make sure that you're keeping up and you're learning how to organize your materials effectively. So I recommend a 2-inch binder. This one was purchased at Walmart. It's a Casemate 2-inch. I want to say it was about $4. There's some at Dollar General for about the same price, and Office Depot, Office Max has a little bit more expensive ones. The cover of our binder says Math 3 only. Now you don't have to write that, but it's just there for you to see that I am serious about that. So when we open our binder, the first thing that I'm going to expect to see is a divider labeled warm-ups. Okay, so I'm looking for that divider very first thing in your binder, and you're going to file all of your warm-ups in that section. The second divider is going to be labeled notes. You're going to put that behind the first one, right in that binder. Okay, you're going to file all your notes there. And each time you file within a section for your notes or for your warm-ups, you're going to put them in numerical order. No document, we're going to call each assignment a document. No document can be on, or it can have more than one document on a page. In other words, I don't want you putting 2 warm-ups on the same page. You want to make sure each document is on its own page. Okay. The third divider is going to be labeled attempted homework classwork. Yes, I do want it to say attempted. We're going to talk a little bit later after the video about the difference between attempted and graded, which you'll see in a second. So we've got the attempted in. Next is going to be assessments. Assessments are going to be your pre-tests that you'll take at the beginning of each unit and your quizzes. Okay. I'm actually going to keep your tests per county regulation. I have to hold on to those. You can come in after school to take a look at them, but I don't release them back to students, and that is currently a district policy. So only in assessments you'll find pre-tests and quizzes. You won't actually have your actual tests in hand to file in the notebook. Now you'll get a chance in class to review your test once it's been graded and gone over, but you won't get to hang on to it. Okay, here's the last divider I was talking about, which is graded homework and classwork. This last divider is where you're going to file your stuff when you get it back from me. I don't want you to put it in the trash can. Even if it's got a less than desirable grade, it still goes in the graded section. Okay, so obviously this isn't the best notebook right now. It's just for demonstration purposes, but individual 3-ring binder, approximately 2-inch, with these dividers labeled in it. Okay, so let's take a look for a second at what goes in the binder. Here's an example of a pretest. Let's see if I can get that for you where we can see. there's just a look at it. I'm going to go over with you the specifics for labeling papers in this class, but do notice that you're going to put in the top right-hand corner of each page, you're going to put your name, and you don't need to underline it. Again, that's just what I used right here for demonstration purposes. You're going to put your period. You can just write 1 or 2, 3, 4, whichever period you're in with me. You're going to write the date, and then you're going to write the document number. Now, on the front board, up on the right-hand side, I'm going to keep a running list of the documents. I'm going to give you the document number and the description of the item. So you'll see that the pretest might be listed as document number 1. What we're going to do is we're going to fill in document number 1 on our piece of paper. We're also going to take a highlighter, which you'll find is on your list, and we're going to highlight this number. That way, when I'm going through your notebook check, it's very easy for me to go through and find where your documents are and to make sure you have each thing that you're supposed to. Okay, now I'm going to take this document, and just like we mentioned before, pretests are going to go into assessments. So I'm going to flip to my 4th divider here in the back under assessments, and because it's the first document, I'm going to put it very first thing in this section. Okay. Close my rings here, and I've got pretest 1, document 1. Okay. Let's do a couple more just to make sure that we're clear. In just a few minutes, we will probably start notes depending on our time for the day. And let's just say this is a copy of some notes that I did. Now, obviously, I expect you to handwrite your notes, but for demonstration purposes, I just made a copy of some from last year. Go ahead and notice at the top right, I have the same information that I listed on the pretest, which is my name, the period of the class, the date, and document number. Now, remember, for demonstration purposes, we're going to call this the second document. When we actually get into our class after this video, we may have a slightly different number, and that's okay. This is just for demonstration purposes. So this is document number 2. I'm going to place a 2 in my spot and a highlight. Next step, we're going to pick up our 3-ring binder, and we're not going to file it behind number 1. Why are we not filing it behind number 1? Because these are notes, not assessments. So we're going to flip in our binders to tab number 2, which is notes. This is the first document in the notes section, so it's going to go first. Place it, close the rings, and you're done. Okay? So those are the different items. Again, you're going to see warm-ups, notes, attempted homework, which is where you're actually going to try it. I'll talk to you a little bit about where you're going to get the graded homework from in a minute, and your assessments. So those are your categories for that. Other things that we're going to do in the class. Each day when you come in, you're going to notice that there will be a warm-up posted. Okay? And the point of a warm-up is to get your mind going. It's to get you cleared out from your previous class or the morning, or a fight you might have had with a boyfriend or girlfriend. The purpose is to get you focused. So you see a couple of exercises there. That's exactly what you're going to see each day in this class. So warm-ups are the only item in this class that is graded on effort, not accuracy. And warm-ups aren't always graded. I don't announce when warm-up checks are going to be conducted. My expectation is that you are coming in and you're working each and every day. Not that you do some on Monday, skip Tuesday, Wednesday, half on Thursday, and completely miss Friday. No, that's not the point of the warm-up. The warm-up is something that's supposed to be completed every day. So about once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on how it looks like we're doing, I will call a warm-up check. Okay? And what will happen is you'll have 1 minute, I'll place a timer on the board, 1 minute to turn in what you've been working on during your warm-up time. Let's suppose that you have 4 problems assigned to you and you answered 3 of them. And again, I'll make sure that the time is fair that you have, but it's just for me to look. So if you answered 3 out of 4, you're going to get a 75. That's going to go under that 20% graded homework classwork. Okay? So here's an example of great work. On this particular warm-up, it looks like there were 2 problems. Notice I've written the problem on the first line. So number 1 has the problem, and underneath of it is all the work. I cannot stress to you enough how important it is that you show your work. Okay, you have to show your work for each and every assignment that you do in here, each and every quiz, each and every test. That's just a non-negotiable. So let's look at some examples of what might be poor warm-ups or things that I have seen students do in the past. So here are 2 different examples. Notice in the first example, there's no work shown. You'll see in your syllabus that even if the answer is completely right, you nailed it out of the park. No work shown, grade is 0. Okay, no credit. I've also seen students write the lovely IDK or I don't know. I've also seen question marks or blank space. No attempt made is a 0. Please make an attempt. Even if it is incorrect, I need to see a written attempt on your paper in order for you to get credit. Now, once we're done, if it's a collected warm-up, I'll give us, the minute time to collect it. Or if it's not, we'll move straight into going over it. I will walk you through the process. I'll show you all the work, answer any questions that you have, and it's up to you to get the work down for your warm-up. Because when I go to check your binder, if I come across Tuesday and I notice you didn't do Tuesday's warm-up, you're not going to get the credit. And then you've lost points on your quiz grade notebook check, which is completely absurd in my mind because it's just, did you make an effort? So make sure that doesn't happen to you. Okay. Another question that I frequently get, talk to me about homework. Yes, we're going to have homework in this class. I found this comic strip and it kind of cracked me up. It said, it's a little boy handing his paper in to his teacher, and he says, to show you how well I understand fractions, I only did half of my homework. Please don't let that happen to you. Okay, I'll again talk to you after this video about the policies for homework. The reason I don't discuss it right now is because we have a little bit different policy depending if you're in college prep or the honors math 3. So I'll get back to that right after this video. Okay, so let's take a look at some acceptable homeworks and then some not so acceptable homeworks. Okay. So I've got this labeled as a great paper. Again, notice in the top right, my name, my period, my date, and whatever document number it would be. Okay, for this paper, I've got the problem written on the first line. The labels, exactly what I'm going to use. I'm going to use A as 1, B is -5, and C is -6. I'm sure all of you recognize this as a quadratic equation from Math 2. Hopefully you're going, yep, got it. And right underneath, I included the formula. Those are key, non-negotiable things that I need to see on your homework, your classwork, your quizzes, and your tests, where you're outlining all the pieces of information. Then I've got the work shown all the way down to the bottom, and I've got a sentence, which is necessary pretty frequently. As we go further along in the class, you'll understand the importance of when to write a sentence and when not to, and my final answer is clearly boxed in. That's a great homework paper. Let's take a look at some not so great homework papers. So this is an example of bad homework. In the first example, you can see that the person is missing the formula, the letter assignment. In other words, they didn't tell me what A is, what B is, what C is. They really didn't tell me what method they used at all. And there's no work shown. Again, what happens when you don't show any work? Hopefully in your mind you're saying you get a 0. Absolutely correct, no exceptions here. Okay. Another poor example down at the bottom. This person doesn't even write the question, they just give the answer and a sentence. Nothing is shown except answer. Hopefully you're saying in your mind, that's a 0. Okay. Let's see, I got a couple more examples of bad homework just because I get this a lot and I want to clear it up early so that it doesn't happen to you. Now you might be looking at this going, whoa, wait a second, that looks pretty good to me. They've got the formula, they got some labels, they showed you where they put it in. Yes, but take a look. We went from where we filled it in to the answers. Now, you might be saying, I'm great at doing these computations in my head. Why do I have to waste my time writing it out? I'm not a baby. I can do math. Yes, but when we're having to go back and see where your error was made, or for me to understand that you did everything correctly and didn't just happen to stumble across the correct answer or happen to see it on a friend's paper earlier in the period, I need to see the steps. So if you want the grade, you show the steps. One more bad example here for you. In this particular case, we don't have a formula or a letter assignment. Now, this might not be a zero paper. This would just be a point deduction because the person did clearly show their work and they've got an answer, and we'll pretend that they even boxed it in. But it's not 100% because I'm not seeing a formula. I'm not clear as to why we started out doing this. Like, where the heck did that come from? I don't really know. So we're going for clarity as much as possible. Okay. So inevitably, at some point in time, we will run into late work. Okay. Let's talk about late work. Late work is when assignments are not turned in when they are supposed to be. Now, who decides what time they're supposed to be? That's me, the teacher, not you, the student. Okay? If I ask for papers and a timer's up and it's down to 0 and you're just getting up from your desk, that is late. Okay? You cannot, that can't be turned in for regular credit. I do have a little bit of forgiveness built in for you, and that is with what we're going to call late pass. So you're going to get 2 late passes for the semester. Okay, that's my grace to you, is you can have 2 late passes. Now, you're going to get a pass that looks a little bit different than this. When you decide that you don't want that 0, yes, if you turn in the assignment late, it is a 0. The reason I make it a 0 is because we immediately go over the answers after we turn in work, so it's not fair to the other kids who turned in their stuff on time that you get to hear the answers and turn yours in later. It doesn't work like that. So you'll get 2 passes. When you give your pass to me, you'll get in return one of these late homework notices filled out. I'll put the date, your name, what assignment you missed. I'm going to give you an alternate assignment. It's going to be very similar to the assignment that you had in terms of content and length, but it's going to be different problems. And I always make sure the problems I assign do not have answers in the back of the book. So if that's what you're thinking, go ahead and scratch that. I'm not going to make a parent sign it, but I will sign it myself and have you sign acknowledging that you received your alternate assignment. You'll have 2 days from the date it was issued to get that in, and I'll replace your 0 with your new homework grade. Well, what happens if I'm late a 3rd time? After you've used your passes, you do not get any exemptions. There's no other makeup assignments or anything else that you can do. So make sure that you are on task. Next, we're going to talk about makeup work. What happens when you're out sick from class? And remember earlier we talked about make sure that that doesn't happen very frequently because you're missing good information. You're missing the lectures, or you're missing a quiz, or you're missing time to collaborate or do a project. That stuff translates into poor grades. So this is my little Canvas icon. Canvas is going to be your best friend in this class. You have to make sure that you know how to access Canvas and that you're doing it on a routine basis. So when you go to your Canvas page, you're going to follow a couple of pretty easy links, and I'll run through that after this video with you. But you're going to get an agenda, and it's going to have the week of. Obviously, this is from last semester. You're going to make sure that it says the correct math, either Honors Math 3 or College Prep Math 3. And you're going to see a couple of basic things. What was the essential question? What was the I can statement? Class details are where you're going to find the bulk of your information. Anything underlined in blue is a hyperlink. Okay, that means that you can click on it and actually get a hard copy, well, an electronic copy that you can print for a hard copy of any of your missing stuff, things that you missed. Notice warm-ups are underlined in blue. Yes, when you are absent, you even have to make up the warm-up. Why do I do that? Because warm-ups are graded in your notebook checks. You have to do it. Things that are online on the Canvas, again, I'll run through this in person in a few minutes. Notes from class, extra help, some solution sets, information to prepare for quizzes, worksheets, technology labs, all the information you could possibly want from class is on your Canvas page. I promise. Go take a look at it and check it. Parents out there, if any of you are listening too, Great way to check up on your kids and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, so let's suppose you miss a quiz or a test. Your question is, when can I make that up? Okay. These are normally times that students like to make up missing work. You can put a check by it if it's appropriate, okay? After school on appointed days, that's going to get a check mark. Yes, that is completely okay. You need to schedule it in advance. Remember, again, I am also a student and I have night classes, so I can't always stay with you. So we need to set that up in advance. During lunch, perfectly okay with me. Yes, I have class during lunch, but we can work it out where you can come in quietly, sit in the back of the room, or get a library pass and make that assignment up. During class, that's going to get a big red X. I have lots of students that say, oh, I can't stay after school. I want to take it during class, so I miss more class. No, that's not okay to me, because you can't miss class because you miss class to make up something. If after school is a problem for you, during lunch is going to be your best bet. So just keep this in mind for making information up. The best way to not have to stay after to make stuff up is don't miss class. Okay? What happens if you need help? So things get a little bit harder than you imagined, or something's just not clicking, or maybe you have a question that you're not comfortable asking. Side note, by the way, please don't be embarrassed to ask questions in class. There really is no such thing as a stupid question. I know you hear that a lot, but it's true, because 9 times out of 10, if you have that question, somebody else in our room has the very same question. Okay? Again, just another plug here for Canvas. Remember, Canvas is going to be a great spot to check for extra help, because you can look at the links. Sometimes there's links for extra resources, tutorial videos, or other information that you might find useful. So that's a great place to start. Okay. Once you've checked Canvas, you don't think that's really helping, you're going to have access to an online textbook. Okay. So you've got www.my.hrw.com, and the username is mmath3honors, and the password is P like peanut butter, 9, the number, T like Tom, 9, B like boy. Again, you're going to get this on your syllabus in just a few minutes, so no need to panic right now. You'll come up to a screen that says, welcome to Holt McDougall Online. It's going to ask you for username and password, and you'll be able to go in and get information. I'll show you after the video some cool resources available on that website. My goal is to be available for after-school tutoring on Wednesdays from 2:50 to 3:30 if you want some one-on-one time or small group tutoring. It's always very hard for me to guarantee that it will be one-to-one, but at least, make an effort to stop by. If you are not here by 3 o'clock, I assume you are not coming, and I leave. I go to take care of personal matters, my school, other items, etc. So you need to be here by 3 if you are coming. Other great places you can check with the guidance. They can set you up with a peer tutor, or there's another math teacher around every afternoon except for Fridays. So you might ask, I need to go to the bathroom, or I need to go to the water fountain, or I need to go somewhere, and really you're just going to meet a friend, or you see somebody in the hall, you try to use a pass. I get that. I know, don't do that. It's bad. This is just, things that happen. You are going to get a hall pass that looks similar to this. You're going to get 5 of these. Okay, that's for your first 9 weeks. 5 for each 9 weeks. So when we start over at the new 9 weeks, you get new passes. You still have to ask permission. I hold the right to say no, but a lot of times I will say yes. I need to go to the bathroom, I need to go get water, I need to talk to somebody in the office, etc., etc. You'll have to turn in one of your passes for those. Best way to not have to use one of these passes for water is just to bring a clear plastic water bottle. It can only have clear, unflavored water in it. Remember, that's FHS policy. No additives, no sodas, no Gatorades, no fruit punch, nothing else. Okay. So real quick, just a review of rules and expectations. They're on the front bulletin board to your left at the beginning of the classroom. They're really just the 5 Ps, which is be polite, In other words, I really don't want to have to deal with issues of rudeness. You're all adults. You know what's appropriate. Productive. Productive means that while you're here, you're working and you're doing what you're supposed to. You're not wasting my time or the time of others. You're prepared for quizzes, for tests, for homework, for class. Even if you're having trouble with it, you're prepared and armed with questions. That's a great thing to come with. Prompt. I really, really, really hate tardies. Okay, make sure that you are not tardy. I will follow the policy and make you suffer the consequences for being late. And last, and I'm putting these above them all, is patient. Sometimes it takes people longer to get concepts than others. The last thing I want to hear is sighs or eye rolls or you making another student feel uncomfortable because they're not getting it as fast as you think that they should. No room for that here. We're patient. We're learning together. Sometimes things take time. Okay, so if you need reminders of those, they're at the front bulletin board on the left. Winding down here, just a quick recap of the supplies that you're going to need for this class. Remember that you're going to need your 3-ring binder with your labels in it. So we've got the binder. You're going to need, I recommend, 3 to 4 packs of paper. Maybe get it now while the school sales are still on. Pencils. I don't want to see pens. I don't want you writing your notes in pen. I don't want you writing warm-ups in pen. No pens. Okay. You're going to need a pack of either markers or crayons or colored pencils. Something that you can use to do color. I try to do lots of my things in color, and that will help you also to succeed and follow along if you're able to do that. A highlighter, if you want to use a yellow marker, that's cool with me. That's what I've got right here. That's just for you to highlight your document numbers. Okay. Last but not least, I do recommend if you're able to purchase one of the calculators, the TI-83 Plus or TI-84 or 84 Plus. Great investments. You're going to use those throughout the rest of your high school career and in some of your math and science classes when you get to college. So not a lot of stuff. Hopefully you can buy all this for under 10 bucks and not a big strain. Okay, so updates. I do have a Remind 101. You'll get this in just a few minutes on your syllabus. Remind is great to sign up. Occasionally I'll text out trivia questions for bonus points on quizzes and tests, or I may send out reminders for things to bring to class or a hint for a difficult homework problem. Make sure that you take time outside of this class to sign up for Remind 101. Last but not least, you'll see a signature sheet on the back of your syllabus. This is for your parents. I want them to keep the syllabus at home. All I need back from you is the signed sheet. Notice the first part says parent or guardian. They're going to fill out this whole portion here. Okay, very important. I need to know about your internet access. If you're not going to have reliable internet access, please make a point to speak to me as soon as possible after class, one day this week, so we can work out an arrangement. Again, the majority of your homework is internet based. So if that's going to be an issue, there's no need to tell me right now. We can have a private conversation and get something worked out for you. The bottom part is going to be completed by the student. This is just where you acknowledge that you have read the class policies, you understand them, and that you've asked any questions that you're unsure about, because I will be holding you to these expectations. So print your name, sign it, date it. Notice it is due by Friday. Okay, that's what you're going to turn in. So thank you for your attention. After this video, I'm going to run through a couple things with you to show you that are electronic, and hopefully we're going to have a great semester. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.